Hi everyone, welcome back to my channel. I'm Courtney Ryan, and today we're going to be reacting to a TikTok. It's been a minute since I've done one of these, so I'm really excited. So we're going to watch, reconvene, and I will tell you what I think.
Men will do anything but ask you a follow-up question. I do fear they might be allergic to connection, because here's the thing. What do you mean? I said, oh, I'm going on a trip soon, and you said, I love trips. Exactly. Make men curious again. Have they ever been? I'm unclear. But let's jump in. Let's dip our toe in a question. Okay? You don't even have to care. But I would... Where are you going on your trip? Who are you going with? Oh my God, that's a crazy one. Make men curious.
So before we get into my thoughts and what I think about this whole topic, I want to watch another one. It's pretty short, so we're going to watch it, and then we will get into my thoughts and my reactions to these.
A few months ago, I went on a first date with a guy from Hinge, and on his profile, he said he was looking for a long-term relationship. I was like, period, a man who knows what he wants, and he's going to say it loudly and proudly. We love that. We get on the first date, he's telling me about himself. He's like, yeah, I'm looking for a partner. I like to travel, blah, blah. I would love to have kids. Amazing. Doesn't ask me a single question about me. The only time he found things out about me is if I asked him first, and he was like, well, what about you? So you're telling me a person you've never met before, you have nothing to ask. You don't want to know anything. The art of asking questions might be dead. Curiosity was not in the room with us. It's so difficult for me to understand because I'm literally so curious about everyone ever all the time. I want to know everything. One thing about me is I'm gonna call it out. I literally said, is there anything that you want to know about me? He said, oh, I'm good. You're good? You're all good? You're good on what? You're good on what? And so I'm thinking, okay, I've been on dates before where I'm not really feeling the first date, and I'm like mindful of the questions I ask because I don't want to give them the wrong idea. The man asked me on a second date, but it's giving I could be anybody. It's giving it could be a wall and he would be good. And I don't know if this is an epidemic of men who are good looking, who have never had to try a day in their life, or like what the tea is. And unfortunately, this isn't the first time this has happened to me, and I know this is happening to some of y'all out there too. Stay safe.
I think this girl pretty much nailed it when she said, is this an epidemic among good-looking men who have never had to ask a question a day in their life? And I think the answer is yes, because I know there are so many wonderful men out there who are pros at asking questions. They know what to ask. They can keep a conversation going. They're curious about you. They want to get to know you because, after all, that's why they're on the date, to get to know you and see if you guys are compatible, right? For date two. But unfortunately, I think there is a group of men who just really don't have to try. They've never had to try. They get dates because they're attractive and they really have to put in no effort. I think the same can be true for women. They've never had to try a day in their life because they just show up and look pretty, and that's enough. And we hate to see it. But anyway, getting into my reaction here, I think we can be real for a second and say both men and women definitely have room to grow when it comes to conversations and dating. Women aren't perfect, and sometimes I think we expect you to read our minds, or we give you mixed signals. So I'm not here to act like we are flawless, okay? In no way, shape, or form. But today, I want to talk about something that a lot of women have been noticing from guys lately, and I think unfortunately it's a really common conversation mistake that is hurting your chances without you even realizing it. So I want to talk about what's going wrong here. When a woman shares something like, I'm going on a trip soon, using the example from the first video here, but you could legitimately place this with anything. She's not just stating a fact to state a fact. She's giving you a window into her world and a bid for connection. And when you then respond with, cool, I love trips, and don't ask anything else, it makes her feel like you're not actually interested in her, just keeping the conversation alive enough to sort of check a box. Because you didn't ask any follow-up questions, it makes you seem like you don't care. Now, this doesn't mean that you're a bad guy. It might just mean you were never taught how to have meaningful conversations with women. And that's okay, because you can learn. That's why we're here. And honestly, most guys never hear this advice from other men. So giving you a woman's perspective. Again, as I mentioned earlier, and as the second woman mentioned in her video, I think a group of the guys who do this are extremely attractive and just don't care and don't have to try. They probably really don't care about you, and that's why they're not asking, they're not pretending. But there's more going on here than just that. I think outside of that group of guys, there's also a group of guys who just struggle to talk to women. They freeze up, they overthink everything. They honestly think more about what they're going to say next than asking her follow-up questions. because they're so nervous or because they're overthinking. They might be scared of saying the wrong thing, coming across a certain way, not wanting to pry or seem nosy. So yeah, there's a group of guys who don't care and therefore they're not asking. But I think there's another group of guys who actually do care. They just really struggle with conversation. So I want to make that clear too. But what women want and what they don't expect. Women aren't expecting you to be a therapist or an expert on travel. That's not why they're telling you that. That's not the point. The point is curiosity. Curiosity leads to connection. So in this situation, you want to ask a simple follow-up question like, oh, where are you going? Are you going with your friends? Have you ever been there before? These simple questions go such a long way. It shows that you're listening and it shows that you care enough to go just one layer deeper. All right? I am not telling you to ask anything crazy. I'm just asking you to go one layer deeper. I think that's what makes someone truly feel seen, and that's where connection actually starts to build. And I also want to clarify, this goes beyond just conversations with women. This is a crucial skill for talking to anyone, whether it be a woman, a friend, a colleague, your boss. The list goes on. So use this advice in more than just romantic relationships. I think this is sort of universal advice. And why this matters is because when you skip the follow-up, the message that you unintentionally send to someone is, I'm not that interested. But when you ask a thoughtful, easy question, guys, easy question, emphasis on that, you stand out. Most guys are so focused on, again, saying that right thing or not coming across too eager that they completely miss the opportunity to connect. And ironically, it's that curiosity that makes you memorable, not a cool one-liner or not pretending not to care. So there's a quick little mindset shift that can really help here, and that is thinking to yourself, every time someone shares something with me, there is a small sort of gift inside it, right? It's wrapped up, it has a bow on it, and all I have to do is take off the bow. All I have to do is unwrap the gift. And ladies and gentlemen, that is what a follow-up question is. You're opening the door to a better conversation, you're taking off the bow, you're unwrapping the gift, and the best part is that you don't need to fake interest. Just be present, be engaged, that's enough. And if you're someone who finds yourself genuinely not caring at all about learning about someone, again, whether it be romantic or platonic or just someone that you're in a random conversation with, we need to change our mindset around that and how we're approaching conversations and talking to people. I think this is something that a lot of people are really struggling with. Again, is the art of conversation dead? Sure seems like it, because we're all glued to our phones behind screens and never talking to anyone in real life. And we're so self-absorbed that we can't even ask a simple follow-up question. So I'm going to get to that a little bit later, but I think one of the most common mistakes I see men make in conversations is that, again, they focus way too much on impressing rather than connecting. They're so caught up in saying something cool or funny or impressive that they miss the moment to actually bond with the person that is sitting right in front of them. And the irony here is that connection is what is actually impressive. Women don't remember the perfect joke that you said or the smoothest line. They're going to remember how you made them feel. And then, of course, we have the plague of overthinking. Guys get so in their own heads about what to say next that they completely stop listening. They black out. And when you're not really listening, the conversation is going to die. You're going to come across disconnected, even if your intentions are good. You know, sometimes smiling and nodding when you're not really listening is simply not enough. Real connection comes from being present, not performing. And let me say this too and make it abundantly clear. Women need to get better at this as well. There are plenty of girls out there who don't ask guys anything, who expect you to carry the entire conversation or act cold and then wonder why no one connects with them. I could think of a reason or two. This is most certainly not a guy-only problem, but today I just wanted to speak to the guys who are putting in effort and still feel like their conversations fall flat. This might be the thing that you've been missing. I mentioned a little bit earlier, if you find yourself genuinely not caring at all about learning about someone, especially if you're on a date with them, of course, maybe you're not compatible and you don't see yourself with this person long term, but just out of respect and human decency, I think it is so important to regard everyone that you're talking to or having a conversation with as if they have something to teach you. Everyone that you talk to them as if they are teaching you something and you have something to learn from them. Because the reality is, you probably do. That's probably the case. I think a lot of us just don't have that openness or the curiosity to allow people to teach us things. We are all unique. We all have our own strengths and weaknesses and things that we know. And when you start treating people as if they have something to teach you, no matter who they are, you will start to have better conversations if you treat everyone that way. So the next time a woman tells you something, don't panic, don't overthink it. Just ask one follow-up question. One, and you'll be surprised how far that one moment of curiosity can take you. Something else that I find super interesting on this topic, I was watching a video, gosh, probably a couple years ago at this point, and it was a speed dating sort of situation, and a guy was dating a bunch of different girls like back to back. I think they had 5 minutes to talk, or maybe not even 5 minutes. It might have been 1 minute or 2 minutes. I can't remember. It's been too long. But the conversations that the guy had where he spent the entire time talking about himself and legitimately did not ask the girl anything about herself, he said that that conversation was better than the ones where women were sharing things about themselves. So I just thought it was interesting. I know that's only one guy, so we obviously can't come to any conclusions after only watching one person in a situation like that. But I think there are a good amount of guys like that who think a conversation went so much better when they spent most of the time talking about themselves. People love to talk about themselves. I think we often feel like things went better than maybe they actually did for the other person involved if we got to talk about ourselves and share about ourselves. I've told you guys in past videos on conversations to find someone's golden nugget, which is something that makes them light up, something that brings them joy, that you can just tell they love talking about. And when you can do that, the other person often feels like the conversation went a lot better because they talked about something that they love and brings them joy, right? That's just kind of common sense. But really the key and the balance here is focusing on equal sharing and making sure that you are actually getting to know each other. Again, that is the point of dating, to get to know the person that you're on a date with. And if you're not wanting to get to know the other person at all, you don't care about their favorite whatever, what they do in their free time, anything about them personally, and you just want to talk about yourself, perhaps we need to do some self-reflection and question whether or not we should even be dating, because you should want to learn about the person that you're on a date with and potentially dating and spending your life with. Again, common sense, nothing crazy. But I would love to hear from you guys down in the comments from a male perspective. What makes you feel like a conversation went really well? Do you find yourself being one of those people who, the more you talk about yourself, the better you feel the conversation went? Do you struggle with asking follow-up questions, and why? I would just love to get a conversation going down in the comments that will hopefully help some other guys out. Again, this video is not to tell all men that you're horrible at having conversations and you all need to do better. I think we could all do better, men and women. And it's just helpful to hear what the opposite sex is experiencing in dating. And I have seen so many videos from women on this topic specifically. I've also seen a lot of comments from you guys on videos where I've talked about conversations and how to have better conversations, that you go on dates with women and you feel like you're talking to a brick wall because you have to be the one to lead and carry the entire conversation, and the woman is giving you absolutely nothing, which is also unfortunate. And as I mentioned in the beginning of the video, I think there's also a group of women who have never had to put any effort, and they've still had great results. So super interesting. I'm gonna stop rambling now because I could probably talk about this for an entire day. I've seen so many videos about this, so I just wanted to make my own, sort of giving my thoughts and sharing some helpful tips for you guys if you feel like you need them. So if you like this video or found it helpful, be sure to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel to be in the loop for when I release new content. If you haven't already, also be sure to follow me over on Instagram at Courtney Christine Ryan. I love connecting with all of you guys over on there as well. As always, thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you all next time.